Mage Locks with 6 to 7 tile range and a combination of debuffs supported by Ice Elementals and later on supported by heroes with Resurgence. Also, a powerful Dragon Lord leading the army, healing troops and freezing enemies. If that sounds good to you, stick around. Greetings, I'm Sophis. This is a simple build breakdown for Age of Wonders 4. I call it the Ice Snipers build. Let's look into the faction first of all. For form traits, you will have Keen-Sighted, Arctic Adaptation, and Fast Recuperation. The looks of the form don't matter, of course, so go with whatever makes you happy. Culture-wise, we are going Reavers, as the main unit of the build is the Mage Lock. I chose Relentless Crusaders and Powerful Evokers for the Society traits, but feel free to pick any others, so long as one is Shadow and one is Order. This is important to give you enough affinity to get to our final tome. Your leader should be a Dragon Lord. There are a few reasons for it, but the main one is the Shadow affinity that you get from picking Shadow Breath. The other reason is how this build naturally makes it so that this leader will have both the freezing debuff application and heal units with its breath, due to starting as Shadow Dragon then going into Order affinity as you level up. Both your transformations should be the Order ones, and the other two abilities should be one Shadow and one Order. Now let's talk about the tome path. Tiers 1, 2 and 3 are focused on improving your armies, then tier 4 and 5 are meant for your lord and heroes. In the first 10 turns, you will mostly deal with standard fare Reaver starter units. Your Dragon Lord and your Overseers will pull most of the weight. But as we start with the Tome of Cryomancy, depending on the RNG, you'll get the spell to summon Frost Spirits as early as 4 turns in. They are a welcome addition to your early game roster and will complement your Dragon Lord's freezing debuffs. Farm nearby neutrals and infestations. Level up your Lord, nothing too special about this stage. Once we have Mage Locks, you can start to slowly replace your starter units with lesser Frost Spirits and the Mage Locks. By this point, you should also have Frost Arrows, and possibly the Seeker enchantment if you got to the second tome in this build. The tier 2 tomes hold 2 upgrades to your Mage Locks, Guided Projectiles and Inquisitor's Mark. At this point, you will have the build working at its bare bones state. The Mage Locks have all their more important enchantments online, and your lesser Frost Spirits are there to hold the line and crowd control enemies, while your Mage Locks stack debuffs on them and slow them down. The core strategy is isolating problematic enemies and trying to set up kill boxes with your Mage Locks. Far as the mid-game goes, the other 3 worthwhile points to go over are: number 1, your Dragon Lord gaining levels and picking the right affinities to help with the later tomes. That is, Order affinity and Shadow affinity. Number 2, you'll be able to summon the Snow Spirits, an upgrade to your Frost Spirits once you acquire the Tome of the Cold Dark at tier 3. As a side note on this tome, it also contains the Flash Freeze campaign map spell, which has an inbuilt debuff to lower status resistance, very useful for those tougher fights. As for number 3, Amplified Arrows from the Tome of Amplification. It is small and a final addition to your ranged damage, but well worth its upkeep cost. Now we reach the endgame. Your armies have a solid core. You have the utility to help you deal with tougher battles, and by this point the last thing you need to upgrade is your leader and your heroes. So our final goal is the Tome of the Eternal Lord. On the way there, however, we get both tier 4 Order tomes. Supremacy is meant to improve your hero performance, especially the mages, and Exaltation is there to provide you with a revive as well as the ability to level up your armies with a spell. That way you can get more reliably the legend rank on your Mage Locks. A final benefit of this tome is the Temple of the Exalted, giving you more mana income to help you with your enchantment upkeep. Of course, feel free to trade in one of those for a Shadow Tome. especially if you haven't gotten to 8 Shadow Affinity through your leader level up and other in-game events. If you do that, I recommend that you drop the Tome of Supremacy in favor of keeping the Tome of Exaltation. As far as Shadow Tomes go, there isn't any that has a particular synergy with this build, and if you just need one Shadow Affinity to hit 8, I would say the Tome of Severing gives you a little more benefit than the other two. Once you have the Tome of the Eternal Lord, the build is complete. Get Eternal One on your Lord and heroes and allow them to be even more daring in combat. Your core armies excel at stalling, so the 2-turn caveat on returning to life is not as daunting as it seems. A final note, I would be mindful of your mana generation and plan cities accordingly to sustain the cost of your armies. The Runecarver's camp from the Enchantment Tome can go a long way if placed properly. And that is the Ice Snipers build. With the upcoming Primal Fury DLC, it felt right to make a video on this, and it is worth noting that based on patch notes, single attacks will get better odds on applying debuffs, so the mage locks will get even better once the update drops. Hope you have an enjoyable campaign.